All right. So I am talking to my good friend, a guy that I tell you I have loved from the first time I ever heard him on radio, Bill Jordan. How you doing, dude?
Kevin, how are you? And I don't know when you would have heard me. It could have been any number of years ago, except
Years
recently.
ago. Yeah, one of the things that kind of Bill and I have known each other for a long time, and I think we have a lot of commonalities. But I think you correct me if I'm wrong, but I worked at a Fox station, you worked at a major radio station, and I think what connected us was 24, the show 24. We worked together on a promotion and found out that, hey, dang, we were both fan addicts.
Yeah,
Wasn't that it?
yeah, that was probably it. Um, I would probably say that because yeah, we would do our weekly updates and did some video shoots about that, and then you were gracious with the Fox station to give us some 24 promotions, prizes or whatever, or flying
Yeah.
in one of the stars of the show for a special deal. So yeah, that was probably the crux of it.
Yeah. And then we ended up hosting our own video podcast, probably before it was ever called video podcast, and we called it Two Guys Talking About 24. Then we even did our own show, our own video podcast, I think for 3 seasons, still called Two Guys Talking About, which was always a running joke because I would go two guys talking about, and Bill would go dot dot dot. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk to Bill is, like me, we're both over 40 by and then some. But Bill has had an amazing career in radio broadcasting. I mean, years and years. I've always said this. I believe it. He should be in the Broadcaster Hall of Fame somewhere, statewide, nationwide, whatever. But you've also written a book called Embrace the Boom, correct? He's got it here.
I just
There you
happen
go.
to have a copy.
So one of the things I just happen to there you go. Yeah. So one of the things I want to talk about is I think there's this belief of when you get a certain age, you don't have anything to contribute anymore, which is just bogus. And so that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is, you know, let's talk about the book. Um, and if you don't want to give your exact age, that's fine. But in what decade of life were you when you wrote your book?
Sixth decade. I'm 70. I don't care. I am what I am. I can try to hide that or whatever. I turned 70 in July of 2024. And the idea for the book started germinating. In fact, it came up in Facebook memories, one from the other day in 2017. And I gave like the top three things of how to begin your day. An attitude of gratitude, take nothing personally, keep it simple, something like that. And that just grew until I had 15. Because I've always liked quotes and stuff, and I've gotten into studying Stoicism, the ancient like Plato and Socrates and all that. I never thought I would be interested at all in philosophy, but it's how to live your life. And you can, there's parallels, of course, that in Christianity. That's one of the things that Kevin and I also have in common is our faith. But anyway, I got to 15, and then it just dawned on me. It's like I committed to myself um, to coming up with a 15 or 16 video series on YouTube, and I've got a channel, Embrace the Boom. I haven't done anything with it in months, probably, in spite of my best intentions of every Monday I'm going to do a video. I just haven't done it. But
Life
anyway, I
happens.
did for 15 nights, other than weekends. I put out a new, I call them practice. It's not a rule. It's a practice because it's basic stuff. Kind of some of it is cliche stuff. Again, keep it simple. The attitude of gratitude. And we take all those little notions and ideas for granted, but when we really embrace the boom, when we embrace those notions, for me, it's just trying to, if you've got something good you want to share it with others and maybe help them too. When I practice what I preach, I have a better life. I just do. So I do that to help other people. So yeah, I call them practices because we never get them right. And as I semi-kiddingly say, when a young person graduates medical school, what does he starts? He starts his medical practice. An attorney starts his legal practice.
I'd never thought about that.
So we're all
Yeah.
practicing. It's all life is just this. We're in the arena and we're in training through our whole lives. And I think it was Plato. One of them said, for as long as you live, keep learning how to live. As long as we're breathing, I think there's a purpose for us to be here. And it gladdens my heart when those times when I'm ready to kind of chuck social media, because as a human, you get a bunch of likes and people commenting, and then you get a couple of people who comment something snarky or don't like what you post, and that's what bugs you for the rest of the day. Um,
Yeah.
it helps me when someone says, you posted the exact thing I needed to see at exactly the moment I
Yeah.
needed to see it.
Yeah.
And so that's a big driver for me. So anyway, after coming up with the 15 practices, 16 actually, and 16 is the most important one to me. Um, I decided, well, I could just take those videos and turn the video into words, printed word, and embellish them maybe a little bit or tweak them a little bit more. Because other
Hmm.
than just bullet points for the videos, I was just kind of freewheeling it. So I kind of turned it into book form. It's a short book, man. You can read this in like 45 minutes in a lunch hour. But I
I
have
have it.
this in my
It's a good
stack
book.
of books. I have this in a stack of books by my chair downstairs, and I read one of the practices every day. And literally, I'm just rotating through the book over and over and over until one day, hopefully, it'll all click. And I do catch myself at times. Stay, calm is contagious. All emotions are contagious, but calm is the superpower.
Mm,
Being
that's good.
calm is a superpower. So I'll still, something will trigger me and snap into an anger or a flash, but I'm much better than I used to be at catching it, settling in, go, okay, it's just a
Yeah.
thing, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's been a good outlet for me is the book and trying to market the book and
Yeah.
you know,
That is really cool. Now, I want to touch on a little bit in just the few minutes we've got. So, your radio background. When you were growing up, what did you want to be? I mean, it may be more than one thing. If it's like me, there was a lot of stuff I wanted to be. But when you were growing up, what did you want to be?
well, when I was a little kid, we were playing army all the time. So imagine, in this day and age, we're running around the neighborhood with our toy guns and running in and out of backyards and, all over the place. Um, I think the first career, and it may sound kind of weird to people, that I gravitated to, I want to say like fourth and fifth grade, I started thinking about being an FBI agent.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought about being an FBI agent. And then I kept reading about it and studying about it, getting books and reading all about, Al Capone and Machine Gun Kelly and all these famous villains back in the 30s, John Dillinger and stuff like that. But in reading about the qualifications to be an FBI agent, you had to have some pretty good eyesight or at least corrected, but it could not
Mm,
be any worse than it was like 20/50 and the best eye, 20/70 in the right. And my right eye was really going bad at that point. So that was the days before LASIK or anything. So I just kind of
mm,
put that on the shelf. Plus, you used to have a law degree or an accounting degree. So I started thinking about that a little bit more, going,
I'd be out.
I don't know. So by the time I got to college or high school, and my middle brother had he's 6 years older than I, he had done very well in German, really gravitated toward the German language, learning it, went to college, became fluent, studied at University of Richmond, spent his
Wow.
junior year at the University of Munich. He's still fluent in German. So I followed him in the German aspect even into my 1 year of college at University of Richmond. And at that time I was thinking, first semester, I was thinking, I'm going to I started thinking in German. That's when I knew I was starting to get the hang of it. I wasn't trying to think. I would see something and the thought about something would come to me in German. Um, so I thought, I'll do German. I'll get fluent like my brother Brad. I'll join the army, get into army intelligence, go to Europe and chase spies. Still kind of that law enforcement kind of thing. Well, anyway, I got involved in campus radio at University of Richmond. My oldest
Okay.
brother was in Richmond and he was in radio. So I really started getting the knack for the radio thing and getting that radio bug. And he told me, he said, "Hey, if you get into the radio thing, you're going to get the bug. You're not going to study." And he was a prophet. That's exactly what happened.
He nailed
And
that, huh? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
stayed in the second semester at University of Richmond merely to do campus radio. I think I bombed every class, but I was there and I could do campus radio. And I think I did 2 quote shows a week. And that was it. So, and then I got into radio, and my first day as a paid radio employee was June 28th, 1973. I started making $85 a week. Then
Dang.
you want to hear people want to tell you that was a lot of money back then. No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It was still $85 then.
$85 a week.
So how long were you in radio then?
But, well, 73 to 2013. So almost 40 years active on air. And then
Wow.
I came back for 18 months in 2016. My old station hired me back to do podcasts
Mm-hmm.
with some children charity events that we were doing.
Yeah. That's a great long run. And I know you
It's a
were
very
at,
long run for that business. I mean,
yeah.
I know I dodged an awful lot of bullets.
Well, hey, there's Kevin, and I'm interrupting the interview just to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. It's Riverside. It is super simple to use for almost anything you'd want to produce video for, like this video podcast interview you're watching. Now, some of the features I really appreciate in Riverside is what I get after the interview is over. Like, for example, the AI tools. When I click on it, what I use a lot is Magic Audio, which also just cleans everything up. Smart Mute, which what it does is it mutes the person that's not talking in case I cough in the middle of something. And probably my favorite of the AI tools, Smart Layouts. It's like having a virtual director that's going between me and my guest without me doing anything. That way I can focus on the interview, and then after the fact, it will cut automatically between myself and my guest. And another cool tool, Magic Segments. So if you have a longer video or interview, the Riverside tool can go in and pick highlights from that and create separate videos from the longer video that then you can also post those as separate videos too. I can't even remember the number of people that have told me now that they're using Riverside to do their video podcast and interviews along with other things as well. So why don't you check it out? And if you want to, I've hooked you up with a 15% discount on any paid plan. Use my code Kevin Colby. There's a link below. Thanks for Riverside for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the interview. It's easy to look at media and there's a certain level of coolness to it. I'm not going to lie, but it is especially for on-air people, whether it was television or radio, there's a very volatile level of it where I personally think there's fewer people. I can think of a handful of people that I have known and worked with over 30, 40 years that stayed at their respective stations or in the business for any length of time. For how many years did you do mornings?
I did mornings from October of 1980 until March of 2013.
So that means
That's a lot.
you
That's
were
a
getting
lot of
up
years.
at
3:15, 3:30
in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you'd have your on-air shift, 5, 6 a.m. to 9 or 10 a.m. And then, but I mean, did you ever get used to that?
Probably at some point, I guess got used to it, but it's okay. And I'm not comparing myself to Jerry Seinfeld, but there's a book he's got where it's like almost all of his old bits. He wrote them down. You can read his bits. And the name of the book is This Anything? What that means is everything he's looking at, can he take a different view on it? Can he look at it from a different way and make it into a bit for on the air? Because when you're doing morning radio and not just playing songs and telling the time and the weather and all that stuff, but you've got, a little more personality driven, you've got to have things to talk about and you've got to have a point of view to have on these things. So we would,
Yeah.
I counted it up one time, and we had to come up with probably, unless the phones blew up on a particular topic or something, we would have to come up with 15 to 20 things to talk about
Wow.
per morning.
Every
So,
day. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was always looking for an interesting article or an interesting statistic or something funny happened at the restaurant or something, but I was always searching. So I was always on in that regard.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
and that's the draining because it literally you don't it's hard to shut it off.
Yeah. And then I'll also want to touch on briefly too. You do voiceover work, which again, I don't want to assume people know exactly what that means, but for the most part, people are hiring you to for your voice, to whether it's narrate a commercial or a long film or a book or whatever. So was that just kind of a natural transition from radio? Is it just something you enjoy doing? Because it's a very solo job as well, right?
Yeah. When I left radio, I thought, okay, well, what did radio prepare me to do?
Mm,
Right. So I thought voiceover. In fact, when I left the radio station, I told the engineer that I said, "We got any old microphones laying around or anything that I could buy from the station?" And on my last day, I got a box. He had wrapped up a box and he said, "Good luck." And it was a high end microphone. I mean, a
that's
high
really cool.
end microphone. In fact,
That
it
is
was
cool.
too much for what I've got here at home in the recording space. I mean, it would have been picking up a dog barking a half a mile away. So I
Goodness.
ended up selling that and bought a Mac Laptop Pro. In fact, the same one I'm talking to you on right now because I need
Which sounds good.
for the
Which sounds really good.
audio processing, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that was a natural, but it's not the same as being on the radio because in voiceover, it's really more of a voice acting thing. So it would be
Mm,
one of my usual early on directions would be, okay, Bill, a little less morning guy, a little less, not you start projecting, talking,
yeah.
not necessarily a
Yeah.
radio voice, but projecting a little louder and a little more force. Whereas voiceover may be like you're just talking like this. You're just but the microphone picks it up and it sounds huge and that's kind of slowed down a little bit. There's a little bit of a concern, well, more than a little bit of a concern right now about artificial intelligence. I heard a podcast recently, man and woman, male female podcast, talking about mindset and mindfulness, and it was intentionally posted to show what it can do. It was AI, totally,
Yeah.
and you would
Yeah.
never guess that it was not two a man and a woman talking.
I find that interesting because YouTube now, even though, and that's my platform that I'm
And you're
on, I
doing well.
create for.
Congratulations. Proud of
Thank
you.
you. But YouTube, while they're embracing AI in certain aspects, now they're adding labels, even though I haven't seen it come out. Actually, no, it is out there where you have to indicate if you used AI to create something. And what YouTube is saying is to try and combat, deep fakes and bad stuff as well. They say it won't impact, your video getting reached. So I think it's interesting when a company embraces it and at the same time puts a warning label on it. The one thing though I have found out about at least voice AI is that the one thing it's lacking is the personality emotion. And yeah, I've heard some really good AI programs where it sounds like the person talking.
This podcast, I'm telling you that I heard, it had emotion, it had laughter. They were laughing. There were pauses. There were
Yeah.
not all the words were said perfectly. There were little stutters, little
Yeah.
little
I mean, yeah.
hesitancies. It
Yeah.
was amazing.
Now, full disclosure, I mean, I like AI and I use it, but I use it for more things like ideation, where I'm kind of stuck on an idea or, what are some titles? And I would say a majority of the time, what I get back is like, you know, sometimes it has sparked an idea. It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. I did use AI to a degree in both books. The second book I wrote was with a friend of mine, but we used it to more format, you know, and like take, you know, AI to get the transcript, and then sometimes you'd find out it's like, well, that's, you know, it took something it took you 5 minutes to say, and it would put it down into 2 sentences, and I'm like, yeah, I think maybe you missed a few points there, some, you know, some nuances, but I think it's good. I just think it's not there yet, and
I
may
think that
never
depends
be.
on the program that you're using. I think there's some that are better than others, and I don't delve into it much, but I've seen like
Yeah,
some of the
yeah,
artwork AI, and some of it is absolutely amazing. My
it
speaking,
is.
you know,
Yeah,
my book
yeah.
and my mug and stuff, Embrace the Boom. I asked my grandson. I said, go to, you know, Chat GPT or whatever program you use and ask them to explain Bill Jordan's Embrace the Boom movement. Boom, the page filled, and it explained it better than I can.
Yeah. And that's the scary part. But I also do use AI to clean things up. I mean, there's some tools like, you know, we're using Riverside here. Riverside has really nice AI tools on the back end that can help edit, create things, change the scenery and or the layout and stuff like that. I use it a lot in Final Cut Pro to just make my voice. It's called voice isolation. So like if there's a air conditioning going, it just cuts that out. So those are tools that, quite honestly, work
Yeah,
great, but
yeah.
but
Problem is, like
beyond
when
that,
we had, you know, and there's still victims out in the western part of North Carolina. Hurricane Helene came up.
yeah,
I fell. I absolutely fell, hook, line, and sinker for a couple of viral photographs that were online that I would share, and then people were calling me on posting AI stuff, fake stuff, and my credibility may have taken a bit of a hit. And part of me is like, and I got defensive, and it's like, yeah, but I still felt what I'm supposed to feel by seeing this. I'm supposed to feel exactly what this thing is. One of them was a little girl holding a puppy, and she's drenched in the puppy's drenched.
I saw that meme,
I
yeah,
posted it, and then now looking back, I'm going, well, of course it's AI. You can see that
yeah,
it's AI.
yeah,
There's a website, I can't recall the name of it, where you can upload a photo if you suspect,
mm,
and it'll tell you like that whether it's an AI image or not. But that's where we are now. We've got, I posted one the other day or shared one the other day. It's like a baby in a sea of golden retriever puppies, and the baby's just laughing. And I posted it, and then I went, you know what? I'll bet that was AI. But it just
I
felt
had a
like
guy,
everybody loves
yeah,
it, and it's like, you know,
somebody just asked me on one of my videos, "Are you real?" And I said, "Yes," including my hair, because I thought, you know, I can claim that for now, so look, you know, I could talk to you all day long. I just there's so much I find fascinating other than the friendship too. But I'm going to bring this to a close. Your book and everything like that. Where, if somebody's interested in Embrace the Boom, where can they find that?
well, this mug, and I've moved my what's the word I'm looking for? My inventory of mugs up
Inventory.
into my
Yeah,
attic from my garage. Um, this is $20, and most people say, "Hey, man, it's a lot of money," but it's free shipping domestically. It's a 15
that's
ounce
nice.
mug. It's amphibious. You know, either
Ah,
way, left or right. Right here,
you can
you hear
drink it
the Pacific
underwater.
Ocean. This you hear the Pacific Ocean. It's a pretty cool mug. But anyway, I use this really, and on both sides. One, to maybe spark a conversation. If you're sitting across from me, you know, what's this Embrace the Boom about? What's this? And then it also is a reminder to me to, at my age, to live my life, forget how old I am, and embrace where I am in life. So this is sort of my anchor in the morning. So that's at Bill Jordan, embracetheboom.com. Bill
Excellent.
Jordan, embracetheboom.com. And really the best place to get the book is Amazon. It's like 12% off now. It's like 11 bucks. Again, it's a short read, but it's a read that I hope you will come back to often. I've got female friends who in fact will use the mug for their makeup brushes, and
There you go.
the book is in their purse, or it's, I don't care, it's in their bathroom, or it's a coffee table or an end table or a night table. It's just there to pick up and, okay, I'll read this practice 13 now, or whatever it might be. So again, Amazon, uh, all 5-star reviews right now. I think I got 59 or 69 reviews, and they're all
Good for
5-star.
you.
So
Good for you.
it's a pretty cool little book. I got a great, very humbling intro for it. Sort of a preface from former Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski. Very kind words there, and
Coach K.
that was a labor of love. So I hope that one day my grandkids will look at that and go, "Hey, Poppy did something in his life."
Good. Good for you. Good for you. I'm so excited. Having done my own books, not to that level of success, it is very exciting. So, hey, one thing I do need to ask you though, so anybody watching this is obviously over 40, 50, 60, whatever it might be. That's just, they haven't started doing that thing yet, whether it's their passion project or, a different career, whatever it might be. What's some advice you would give them?
Well, I think one is keep learning. And then, kind of what you've always thought about doing. I wasn't necessarily thinking of ever writing a book. And when I did think of it, I was like, I wanted to see if I could write a thriller. I wanted to see if I could write
Mm,
a spy novel or something. And man, it went nowhere fast. Just I couldn't. It's like I can kind of see little bits and pieces and scenes, but building a whole story and writing a 450-page novel, I don't have that gift. Some people do. I don't. So, but I did have a love for quotes and learning. Somebody will say a line or a quote or just an idea, and I would find myself thinking about that. So then that's when I made the list. Then it morphed into the videos. Then it morphed into the book, and then it morphed into having a mug to sell to help people, as I say, anchor themselves in where they are and to be thankful for. Everybody complains about, man, getting old. That's a real drag. It's like, yeah, but what's the alternative? What have you're gonna be
well,
moaning because or to people, "Hey, man, hey, old man, let me help you up." It's like, I can get up, but I appreciate the help, and I hope you make it one day. So anyway, but yeah, I see a lot of people, a good number of people anyway, who are into art now. They do watercolors or they do oil paints, and the beauty of it is and I have been very blessed, I'm not scrambling for money. We're not living it up, and I'm not, buying all kinds of fancy cars, and we're not traveling a whole lot of places. But I've got that freedom of, you know what? We're not in meetings anymore. I'm not in meetings about meetings.
yeah,
I'm not
that
answering
is nice.
7 different people every day and being ruled by a committee of people who, may or may not know what they're doing. So I've got that freedom. Now I can control that freedom and do, again, my book, quite honestly, will help you with what to do with your time. But primarily, I would say keep learning. And when you get out of the workforce and you get into a semi-retired or fully retired state, then you've got the time to do the stuff you've been wanting to do.
Mm, that's
When
powerful.
we're working, you're working to get to the weekend. And then when the
Yeah.
weekend's drawing nigh, Sunday afternoon, my wife and daughter used to just see that cloud come over me. Not that I hated my job, but it's like, okay, the responsibility's coming back. It's 4 o'clock. I got to get ready. In an hour, I'm going to be up and driving into work. Um, you don't have to have that anymore. And I've been blessed where I don't have to chase it at 70 years old. I'm not up there scrambling. I'm trying to make some money. Social Security, the IRA thing's doing okay right now. Marianne's on Social Security right now. Most of the big bills have been paid off. So I don't have the financial stress. There's still some times, but that has given me freedom, and there is nothing like it. There's
That's
nothing
so
like it
cool.
to live the life. What my point was about the weekends and we dread the Mondays. How about working on a life that you don't dread living?
Mm, yeah, very
So
cool.
that's where I
Well,
am.
Bill, I appreciate you taking the time, sharing your knowledge. Look, it's always fun just to chat. And again, check out his book, get a mug, and just thanks again for being you and taking the time to talk.
Yeah, I appreciate the invitation and proud of what you're doing on your YouTube channel. You get up to like 7 billion subscribers now. It's pretty impressive.
Thanks.